welcome to Random Fandom Chats. I'm Dee Dee.
I'm Tandra.
And this is Annabeth. Here we talk about anything sci-fi fantasy related from books, TV shows, movies, comics, games, and today we're actually talking about a specific character, and as you might have guessed, it's Batman. Now, Batman has been one of my most favorite characters, period, for a very long time.
Isn't your rule?
I grew up with the animated series when I was little, which I absolutely fell in love with. That was also about the time that you were coming out with a lot of the movies. And so he's been one of my favorite characters for a very long time. Now, but what would you say when you think of Batman?
Well, it's funny because, you know, of course, when I was growing up, most of the Batman that I was exposed to was like, you know,
Adam West
Batman.
Got a more cheesy version.
A little bit. And I like Batman from that point of view because some of the newer renditions, he tends to be pretty dark.
Well, he was originally the Dark Knight.
Right.
He went through some changes there in the 60s and so.
Right. You know, he definitely became more campy then. But I don't know. I think he's an interesting character, you know, in that he's a vigilante. You know, he wants to fight for good, but he does it in a very...
not so good way.
I almost think I like Bruce Wayne better than I like Batman, although Bruce Wayne can kind of be, you know.
He can be a little bit of a pain, too.
Yeah.
Now, I honestly don't really know what really first drew me to the character.
I don't have a clue.
Because you guys weren't, I mean, you guys had an appreciation for superheroes, but you guys weren't really big, like, comic book nerds or anything.
Right. You must have been exposed probably to the Michael Keaton movies. You know, we had videos at the time, and, you know, you watched movies, so you might have been exposed to him that way. I'm not entirely certain what drew you to him.
I don't know. I guess I just thought he was really cool, and I really liked the animated TV show, so I just got really attached to this character. Now, I've had several nerd debates with this with several different people, but probably my most favorite actor who has portrayed Batman would be Michael Keaton.
I think he did a great job as both Bruce Wayne and Batman.
Exactly, which is very hard to do. Usually when you have a person playing Batman, or really any superhero for the most part, they're really only good at either playing their personal persona or their actual superhero persona, not usually both.
It's hard to get them to be able to do both. Very few people have managed to do it really well.
Well, I just thought the first Batman movie with Michael Keaton was just really well done. It had the dark tone and kind of the gritty tone, especially with Tim Burton directing, but it wasn't like super dark and depressing like some takes on Batman.
It was a decent story.
Right.
From that, but you know, they were just, matter of fact, both of the first couple of ones, you know, he was in were good stories. And they brought the villains in it really well. They seemed to develop the villains a little bit better than they did in some later renditions.
I liked that portrayal of the Joker. I thought it was the perfect combination of homicidal sociopath and, you know, still a little bit of a quirky, wait, are you actually just trying to be funny? Oh no, you're actually going to kill me. Okay, then.
Yeah, you're just really...
You're just really crazy. I thought he was the good combination between those.
Well, and even in the 60s Adam West version, they did some pretty decent villains, you know.
They were still always just a little bit more on the campy side. Like
a little bit campy, but they were still well done, I thought.
Yeah, like the Joker, he was more of like, just like a prankster, like turning the entire, you know, Gotham Bay into Jello or something. I think was one thing he did.
Catwoman I thought was pretty good in that old series. I thought they did a great job with that, and you know, and like you said, the show itself was more campy, but I thought they brought the villains to life a little bit better than some renditions have done. But yeah, but Batman himself, he seems to fight his villains pretty well. I mean, he sends them all off to, you know,
Arkham Asylum, and then they break out like 3 months later.
Yeah, he has to go get him again. But his villains tend to be a little bit easier to identify with, too, because they're a little bit more on the normal villain side. They're not these super villains.
Right. And I think he has the most interesting dynamic villains. I think he really has the villains that are the most interesting.
They have a lot of layers to them.
Right. One of my most favorite villains of all time would probably be Mr. Freeze, and he's one of those characters that, you know, he's not evil for the sake of being evil. He does these things because he's trying to save his dying wife, which does not excuse it by any means, but you can still relate to him. It's like he's doing this for
Yeah, they have reasons why they're the villain. Either something bad has happened to them and it's made them go a little crazy.
With the exception of characters like, you know, Joker, who is just insane.
Yeah, but he still, even at that, had thing, you know, like in the, you know, the Michael Keaton movie, you know, he, you know, fell in the vat of acid and these other things that happened to him. It kind of messed with him. You know, he didn't.
That's usually the way they portray it.
And that makes sense that, you know, bad things happen and it causes people to go a little crazy. And these are really smart people that go a little crazy, and so
yeah, he definitely has supervillains that challenge his intellect, which you can't say for a ton of superheroes. Really, a lot of times their supervillains are just kind of two-dimensional and kind of stupid.
I want to take over the world. No, you can't do that. Kind of thing.
It's like, why do you want to take over the world?
Yeah, where these guys have specific goals, you know, they want to injure as many people as possible, or they want to take over Gotham, or they want
to be like the top crime boss or whatever. Batman's like, oh no, you're not.
Yeah, so they have goals and they have reasons for their goals, and then you know he has to stop them. So I think from that point of view in the Batman world and universe is kind of interesting. And well, and even the new TV show Gotham, I think, is doing some interesting stuff with some of the villains and some of the characters.
Sometimes they get a little bit miffed with what they do with some of the villains, but it's still an interesting take on most of them, I think. Especially like Catwoman in this version of Gotham.
Yeah, and I thought Penguin is an interesting character in this one for sure.
It definitely made me like Penguin as a character a little bit more, because I always thought Penguin was kind of stupid.
Yeah, I agree.
I like this version of him.
Yeah, this version of Penguin's pretty cool, so... But yeah, I don't know. I think Batman, as far as superheroes go, you know, if you lump him in that category, or vigilantes
you just want to call him a vigilante.
Yeah, or vigilantes go. I think he's one of the most interesting as far as having all those layers that we were talking about, and all those, you know, so many of the others are a little bit more
two-dimensional, kind of stale, you know, and their reasons for being a superhero and whatnot are kind of abstract. Like, okay, like, don't get me wrong, I love Superman. He's he's one of my more favorite superheroes, but really his, you know, reasons for being a hero are kind of abstract. I mean, he just wants to do good just because he's a good person, which is not bad, but, you know, it is nice to have a character who actually has a reason, and, you know, something devastating happened in his life that, you know, put him on this path of, I need to make sure that other people do not go through this, you know.
And that is cool, and that is one thing that makes it interesting to watch all the different incarnations of Batman and all the different, you know, that they bring out.
I will say a little bit of criticism towards the character. Sometimes he can get very stale and boring because he is so dark and brooding, and sometimes it really does just get a little bit
oh my gosh, get over it already.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, you don't need to be quite that devastatingly angsty.
On the other hand, he's got Alfred in the Batcave, and that's just way cool.
Yeah. Alfred in the Batcave definitely sends you up the list of coolness.
Well, and you know, and like, you know, the Joker says, where does he get all those wonderful toys? I mean, you know, it just... You just gotta love a superhero that has all those cool things that he can draw upon and do stuff with. So
I really want to see just a couple of citizens in Gotham just be like, okay, no, but seriously, how can Batman afford all this high-tech gear and these fancy cars that get blown up every few months?
Where does he get his money?
Right? It's like, I do not want to see the insurance bill on the freaking Batmobile. I just want to see a couple of Gotham citizens discussing something.
I think even Lois London wouldn't touch it. I'm not sure. I'm sure they would go, no, I don't think so. You're too high risk.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Alrighty.
Alright. Well, I think that's pretty much all we have to say on Batman, even though we could probably do quite a bit more. Let's pick out our topic for next time. Alright. Let's see if Annabeth's actually awake enough to...
Did you fall asleep? You want to pick one?
Want to pick one, Annabeth? Want to pick one?
Oh, she started to go towards this one, but then she stopped.
You want that?
She just go sit there. Alright,
well,
we'll pick this one. Since that's the one you sort of went towards before you pulled back. Board games. Monopoly.
Okay. That might be an interesting topic to do. Something pretty different than what we've been doing.
Well, and since they have lots of different versions, like Star Wars.
Oh, yeah, we have some different versions.
Yeah, so that might be interesting to talk about that just a little bit.
Alrighty, well, if you guys like this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you like what we do. Feel free to leave any comments you might have in the section below. Give us suggestions for what you might want to see us talk about in the future, and tell all your friends.